But it's also a further red flag when we now know that David's father, Dawood Burke, is actually a litigation support manager at Troutman Pepperlock. And Troutman Pepperlock is known to represent the co-executors of Jeffrey Epstein's estate. I think we all know who Jeffrey Epstein is and what he has been accused and convicted of. Now, Troutman Pepperlock's impact on survivors and victims of Jeffrey Epstein varies. Some victims and their lawyers say that the firm helped, but there's a lot of them that actually said that the firm used obstructionist tactics and stonewall discovery in civil cases to pressure survivors into joining the private compensation fund rather than pursuing public trials against Jeffrey Epstein.
Y'all, David has suddenly found himself under intense public scrutiny after new online reports and speculation began circulating about his family background and possible indirect connections to controversial figures from the past. While none of this has been formally confirmed in court documents, social media users have been questioning whether those associations could help explain some of the troubling behavior and chaos surrounding the case that's now unfolding. At the same time, a developing police investigation connected to the Celeste situation has taken a much more serious turn than anyone initially expected. According to preliminary reports, investigators are now reviewing claims from multiple individuals who have come forward with accounts that suggest the situation may be far broader and more complex than previously understood. Authorities have not released full details, but they've acknowledged that the scope of the inquiry has expanded as new information continues to surface. As a result, the entire case appears to be evolving rapidly, with each update raising more questions than answers. While much of what's being discussed online remains unproven and should be approached with caution, it's clear that investigators are taking the matter seriously. With new developments emerging almost daily, this story is far from over, and the full truth has yet to come to light.
But it's also a further red flag when we now know that David's father, Dawood Burke, is actually a litigation support manager at Troutman Pepperlock. And Troutman Pepperlock is known to represent the co-executors of Jeffrey Epstein's estate. I think we all know who Jeffrey Epstein is and what he has been accused and convicted of. Now, Troutman Pepperlock's impact on survivors and victims of Jeffrey Epstein varies. Some victims and their lawyers say that the firm helped, but there's a lot of them that actually said that the firm used obstructionist tactics and stonewall discovery in civil cases to pressure survivors into joining the private compensation fund rather than pursuing public trials against Jeffrey Epstein.
So now the situation surrounding David has grown even more unsettling, as new claims and investigative chatter online suggest that his father's past professional involvement with Jeffrey Epstein has raised serious questions. According to widely circulated reports, David's father was allegedly part of legal efforts that encouraged settlements rather than public court cases, a detail that has fueled speculation and criticism, though none of this has been formally established in current case filings. What's added another disturbing layer is an anonymous source claiming to be close to the investigation, who suggested that authorities are reviewing information that may place David in Epstein's orbit during his childhood. Officials have not clarified what that contact may have involved, if any, but even the possibility has raised red flags for many observers. Meanwhile, the investigation into the Celeste case has reportedly expanded significantly. Law enforcement sources are said to be examining evidence that suggests Celeste may not have been the only individual involved, prompting authorities to broaden the scope of their inquiry. These claims remain under investigation and have not yet been tested in court. Attention has also shifted toward Mogul Records and its head, Robert Morgan Roth, who is now reportedly being questioned about what he may have known. While there is no public confirmation of wrongdoing, Robert's appearance before a grand jury reportedly intensified scrutiny around his actions, particularly regarding why authorities were not contacted sooner. Media reports claim he was questioned extensively about that decision, which has only added to public suspicion. Investigators are now said to be reviewing communications that may indicate prior warnings were sent to individuals within David's professional circle. At this stage, officials have not released definitive conclusions, but the case appears to be widening as new information continues to surface, Levy.
A family friend of Celeste Rivas Hernandez sent an email to Josh Marshall, who is David's manager and roommate, back in 2024, February 2024. And in the email was the missing persons report of Celeste and all of her information. And it said, we know Celeste is living with you guys. She needs to return home. One day later, Celeste returned home. And then a month after that, she went back to living with David and his roommate, Josh Marshall. So Josh Marshall was well aware of Celeste Rivas Hernandez's age and that she was a missing child.
At first, public speculation centered on David's other manager, Josh Marshall, with many assuming he was the individual referenced in early discussions. However, Josh quickly moved to distance himself from the situation and publicly denied any involvement. In a statement shared with the media, he emphasized that he had no knowledge of the allegations and clarified that he does not reside in California. Josh explained that he works remotely the vast majority of the time and that his role does not require close, day-to-day interaction with David. He also noted that several other team members handle daily operations and management duties, stressing that he is not directly involved in those aspects. His comments appeared to redirect attention back toward others within David's professional circle.
David's manager, Josh Marshall, commented on my last video and asked me to pin the comment. TikTok doesn't allow you to pin comments anymore, so I will leave screenshots of it in this particular video. But what he said was everything that I said in the video was completely false. He said he never received an email and he had zero knowledge of anything that was going on. He doesn't live in California. He lives in a completely different state than David with his wife and his 3 children. Josh Marshall also said that he doesn't have much interaction with his clients or David because he works remotely 95% of the.
Now the story takes an even more dramatic turn as attention shifts to which manager was actually based in California, and reports indicate that Robert fits that description. According to sources discussing the investigation, authorities are reviewing claims that Robert and David may have been living at the same residence around the time of the incident, though this has not been officially confirmed. Investigators are also said to be analyzing evidence that suggests the alleged operation authorities are probing may have been deliberately organized and planned in advance. One detail drawing intense scrutiny is a freezer discovered at the property, which law enforcement sources reportedly believe may be relevant to the case. While officials have not released definitive findings, some reports claim investigators are examining whether it was used for unlawful purposes connected to the alleged crimes. Adding to the concern, authorities are also said to have found a burned metal enclosure on the property capable of reaching extreme temperatures. Police have not publicly confirmed its intended use, but they are reportedly working to determine whether it has any connection to evidence disposal. At this stage, none of these claims have been proven in court, and investigators have cautioned that the inquiry is ongoing. Still, the accumulation of these findings has intensified public attention as authorities continue piecing together what they believe could be a far more complex and disturbing situation than initially understood.
Weeks we've been wondering just what it was that a private investigator named Steve Fisher found inside David's home when he was given access last October. The PI reported seeing, quote, items you would expect to find on a farm rather than in a home in the Hollywood Hills. And today, we are learning about one of those items. Steve Fisher has confirmed it was something called a burn cage. Take a look at your screen. That's what a burn cage looks like. It's used usually on farms to incinerate waste and debris, but lots of private homes have them as well. This particular model can apparently get up to a whopping 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 200 degrees hotter than the temperature required to burn human bones. And this is the photographs he took of that burn device, the burn cage inside David's home. He noted that these types of incinerators are illegal in LA County.
The situation grows even more troubling as additional details under review by investigators raise serious questions about David's actions and explanations. According to reports, David does not own the property where key items were allegedly discovered, and sources claim certain installations were made without the landlord's knowledge or consent. Investigators are reportedly examining records suggesting the equipment in question may have been ordered under an alternate name. While David's team has suggested it was intended as a prop for a music video, at least one investigator publicly questioned that explanation, pointing out inconsistencies such as the delivery location, timing, and the fact that it was never documented in any production. As public attention intensified, particularly after information about past controversial connections surfaced, observers noticed a sudden tightening around the case. A court order has since limited what the medical examiner can publicly share, with officials confirming that no reports or findings will be released until further notice. Authorities have stated this restriction is procedural and tied to the ongoing investigation. Meanwhile, reports have also highlighted complications involving a witness who allegedly failed to appear before a grand jury despite being summoned. Prosecutors are said to be weighing legal options to compel cooperation, signaling the seriousness of the inquiry. While much remains unconfirmed, these developments have fueled speculation that powerful interests may be influencing the pace and visibility of the case as investigators continue their work behind closed doors.
In terms of, so this guy, with regard to the grand jury situation right now, is this person being so uncooperative? Is there an uncooperative witness that is part of the situation that is on the verge of getting arrested herself? Is that the case?
That's exactly right. So it's one of the other people that they hope to speak with as part of this grand jury is a female witness. We're unclear who she is or how she may be connected to the case, but she has been uncooperative, so much so that the district attorney is considering getting something called a body attachment, which is similar to an arrest warrant, but essentially what it would be is that law enforcement would go and find this witness and literally take her back, and in handcuffs if necessary, to the district or to the grand jury room, rather, where she would be then made to testify. So again, it's unclear who she is and how she's connected to the case, but they really want to talk to her. So I would think that would indicate that she's someone who may play an important role.
Insiders are now claiming that the uncooperative female witness may be someone close to David, identified in reports as a longtime friend named Asia, though authorities have not publicly confirmed her identity. According to sources familiar with the situation, her refusal to testify is allegedly driven less by loyalty and more by self-preservation, as investigators are believed to be examining whether her own actions or knowledge could place her at legal risk if the case moves forward. Adding another unsettling layer, multiple reports suggest that this witness is represented by the same attorney as David's manager, Robert, a coincidence that has raised eyebrows and fueled speculation about coordinated legal strategies. As investigators reportedly widen their focus to include alleged smuggling activities, concerns are growing that the case may involve more people than originally assumed. Questions have also been raised about how the witness is able to retain such high-profile legal representation, with unverified reports suggesting that individuals with a vested interest in keeping certain information from becoming public may be providing financial support. Authorities have not confirmed these claims, but they're said to be carefully examining financial and communication records. At this point, the situation appears to extend well beyond a single individual, pointing instead to a complicated web involving power, money, and silence. With overlapping legal counsel, reluctant witnesses, and an investigation that continues to expand, officials believe there may be much more beneath the surface. As investigators dig deeper, the case appears to be growing increasingly complex, and many believe the most consequential revelations may still be ahead.